Welcome back. You're watching Mysteries of the Church, and we're discussing elements of the papacy. Although Vatican City is considered to be a holy environment, there have been instances where that foundation has been tainted, especially during the papacy of Alexander VI. The papacy of Alexander VI is noted as one of the most unethical times of the Church. Alexander VI was elected Pope in 1492 after the passing of Pope Innocent VIII. Prior to his election, it has been rumored that he used his financial backing to buy his votes, as well as to bribe others being considered for position.
What's even more scandalous, perhaps, is the fact that the cardinals who were to elect a new pope after the death of Pope Innocent VIII, they took the bribes. They could have always refused, but they probably saw the handwriting on the wall that another Borgia was going to become pope, and they needed to take what they could while they could.
So here was a man who was politically ambitious, sought to expand his state and his power, lived a luxurious life, but he did some good things as well.
He is one of those so-called bad popes. Again, another Borgia pope, but someone who, his indiscretions aside, still managed to keep the papacy intact. He managed to reach out to Spain and to keep it Catholic.
But this wasn't the only controversy. It also happened during the papacy of Pope John XII.
I think Pope John XII is one of those popes that behaved badly. That is to say, he accrued power to himself by essentially trying to destroy other European rulers.
The young pope found himself filled with doubt over his agreement with King Otto and attempted to counteract his decision. He met with Adalbert, the son of Italian King Berengarius, and told him of King Otto's intentions of defeating his father and suggested how to beat King Otto I.
The ways in which he went about severing ties or using the powers of his office in order to put European civil rulers in check set a very bad precedent for future popes.
Pope Gregory I was more commonly known as Gregory the Great because of how influential his papacy was. Although he was always in poor health, it is said that he never rested and refused to retire to bed until all his work was done. He took his duties as bishop and then eventually pope extremely seriously, so much so that he published a book that listed what he firmly believed to be required of a bishop. The book was titled Liber Pastoralis Curae, also known as the Book of Pastoral Care. Divided into 4 parts, the book contained chapters on what a bishop should be, how he must act, the point of view he must take, and what he should be aware of.
It's one of the reasons why I think Gregory stands out as a really fine pope, not just for his learning and scholarship, but that kind of character. And he himself eschewed the title of pope. He instead referred to himself as the servant of the servants of God. Really a kind of humble position, but out of that humility grew great things.
It was important to Pope Gregory I that traditions be carried on and that the elders lead the youth. It was his belief that this was the natural order of things. Finally, his publications contained advice to the bishops to be aware of themselves, warnings against the internal temptation to regard oneself more highly than he should. He stated that the greater the work of a bishop, the stronger the risk of failing through self-confidence.
One didn't enter upon civil service in Rome without a real sense of noblesse oblige, a real sense of duty, and a real sense of honor. But there was accompanying that office a certain glamour, and Gregory didn't want to have any of that.
This book laid down a foundation for the bishops who lived during Pope Gregory's time and for all those who followed. As of today, there have been 265 popes, and of them, 76 have been canonized as saints. This clearly shows the holiness surrounding the papacy. It is no surprise that popes have the ability to change the world. An example of this is Pope Leo XIII. A great concern of his was to make a connection between people and the Church. One of his primary objectives was to bridge the gap between the modern world and the ancient organization of Christianity. He reasserted that religion does coexist with science. This was a validation for many of those who had drifted away from the Church. Another concern of his was that the working class be respected and acknowledged within the Catholic Church. He's most famous for vindicating the rights of poor people and hard workers with his encyclical Rerum Novarum, which led to his title as the Pope of the Working Class.
Rerum Novarum recognized the social problem and recognized that the Church could not simply be opposed to radical communism and Bolshevism, but had to have a program of its own, and that the workers had rights and needs that the Church should and would recognize.
Karl Marx had put forward the idea that the masses were being duped by religion into believing that their only true function was to be a cog in a machine. Pope Leo comes out and says, well, you know, that's not exactly true. The Church has to side with those individuals whose rights are in jeopardy.
Leo XIII's actions of defending the working class has never truly been done before, and it changed the lives of many who were finally granted recognition of their rights as Catholics. Leo XIII was not radical in his theological or social teachings, but what he did do was help bring the Catholic Church into the mainstream by creating a connection between all social classes. While it is true that the Pope is only human, the papacy comes with responsibilities that stretch far beyond earthly matters. He is the successor of Peter, the rock that this church has been built upon. He is responsible for guiding us towards a holy life and to protect the mind and body of the Catholic Church. Thank you for watching Mysteries of the Church. Until next time.